New year, new intro. And even more exciting news, I'm now on TikTok at Buckosh, where I'll be doing more concise 1-minute reviews of our newest products. And of course, I'll still be doing our long-form reviews here on YouTube and on Facebook. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share across all 3 platforms. Feel free to drop a comment. I'm always happy to respond. But now the news that you're really here for, the new Track Paragon. Track came out swinging in 2022 with the strongest ball they've ever created to date. It contains the new iCore 3.0, which takes some design features from the original Paradox series that was a major fan favorite for the Track fans, and it tweaked the design to give it a more dense middle band and tapers the core inward towards the top and the bottom to make sure that it's more mass-centric. This results in more mid-lane motion for this new Paragon. This ball also has dot and dynamic-core technologies for the most versatile drilling options and the hardest hitting power, and it's surrounded by the QR11 solid cover stock. You'll notice QR11 is also on Strata, but combined with this new iCore 3.0 Paragon core, that means you're going to have the strongest ball motion with the strongest mid lane out of this one. Now to tie up some loose ends, I'm going to talk about the Track Heat. Of course, the Track Heat's been available since November, but I never had a chance to review it. But it's been a fan favorite, and of course it contains the modified tri-core that's been a staple of the bottom end of the Track lineup for a long time in various forms with the Heat balls. This tri-core has an 0.38 total differential, which gives you fairly medium, even rolling ball motion, and of course it contains dynamic core for hard hitting power. It's surrounded by the DR7 solid cover stock. You'll recognize that nameplate because it was on the Kinetic Platinum in the Pearlized version, and before the acquisition it was actually on the Kinetic Obsidian as an asymmetrical ball, so that means that this is the first time that we've seen the solid sanded version on a symmetrical ball, in particular the Heat Tri-Core. So without further delay, I'm going to take you to a comparison chart and show you how these 2 new releases stack up with the current Track lineup. This chart contains every release in the Track lineup for an entire year. They're sorted by oil volume from left to right, from lightest to heaviest, and by response to friction from top to bottom, with the sharpest responding balls toward the top of the chart and the smoothest responding balls toward the bottom of the chart. You'll see that Paragon is built to handle the heaviest amount of total oil volume. Compared to our entire lineup, I would say that the Paragon is the strongest ball, definitely the strongest ball in the Track lineup, and possibly the strongest ball in the history of our lineup, all told. It's strong, yet it's smooth. As I said before, it has that higher density middle band in the inner core, which means that when you drill through it, you're going to boost the differentials. But more than that, it makes it a very mass-centric ball, which means that it's going to read early and aggressively. It's a really nice pairing though, because it is a fairly continuous, and I know that's a buzzword that you hear a lot, but it's a fairly continuous ball for its strength and its earliness. Typically, balls that read this early and this aggressively simply just don't have enough gas left on the back of the lane to kind of round out and finish the corner. A lot of times you'll see them going forward, so you need just a ton of head oil to make sure that they shape at the back of the lane. But with the Paragon, I think you'll find a little bit more usability. Now, I'm not going to kid you, you definitely need some head oil to make this one shape optimally, but I think on these really wet, dry, overly cliffed house conditions that you see, you'll find more versatility and usability than you expect, just because this one can blend it so nicely without getting too forward. It seems like it's not the most continuous ball that you've ever used, but it tends to round the corner and kind of keep going on the back of the lane more than the other strong, solid, asymmetrical balls that you would expect. Compared to Electrode Strata, this one's going to start noticeably earlier in the mid lane, be a little more abrupt with its change of direction in the mid lane, and just be a little more round off the end of the pattern and continue through the pins nicely. The Strata Hybrid has been one of the tour players' ultimate favorite bowling balls because it's the right balance of length, back end motion, and control without being overly flippy. It seems like it back ends in a way that's more continuous than most asymmetric. And I think that the Strata Solid was also a bit of a gem. It just wasn't discovered. Maybe it was a release timing thing or whatever. But the Strata Solid is a nice heavy oil player in its own right. But I think the tour players that didn't really catch on to the Strata Solid are really noticing the Track Paragon. And of course they have the same cover, so the difference is the core strength. All told, just a real winner on heavy oil. And that brings us to our Track Heat Ultraviolet, a sanded solid entry for the Heat lineup, which has always, like I said, been a staple of the lower end of the track arsenal. I actually had this one staged a little further left on a little lighter oil volume originally, but after seeing players use it, pro players on tour, and of course now players in the field, I actually edited my original placement of this ball to make it fit squarely in the medium oil category, albeit a fairly smooth reaction overall. Probably the smoothest, I would say definitely the smoothest reaction we've got currently in the track lineup. It does a lot of the things that the Paragon does on heavy oil on much more medium conditions. It starts up in the mid lane and has a more smooth, continuous motion overall. It doesn't jerk or jump. It doesn't do anything that surprises you. It's just a true medium oil performer. It does great in friction because it blends off of it rather than jumping off of it. And it has enough teeth with the solid sanded cover stock that if you miss into the oil, it's gonna get off of it enough to maybe snap a corner or at least get back to the pocket, where some of your smoother or polished balls are going to maybe miss the break point and not give you a chance to get back. So all told, this one is versatile, but in the sense that it's very forgiving and not in the sense that it's a wow me ball motion. I think both of these balls do best with very medium launch angles, and you just have the confidence that they're gonna see the mid lane securely and round off the back end of the lane. That's the information I have on the Paragon and the Heat. Two strong yet versatile pieces that can make your life a lot easier on heavy oil conditions and medium oil conditions respectively. Make sure you go to your local pro shop and pick them up. Of course, follow, like, subscribe, share, comment on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, and I will see you in the next video.